Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on Superman Lois Season 3. Today we're going to be talking about how the show could potentially end this season if it's going to be cancelled or if the show is going to continue beyond Season 4. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Before we get into this video, I want to remind you guys my merchandise is available. It's in a link in the description below. A lot of you have actually ordered already, which I really appreciate, but if any of you haven't ordered and you want some DCTV merch, please be sure to go get yourself some, even if it's just a t-shirt or a hoodie, which are very comfy by the way. It really means the most to me that you guys are willing to support me and you're interested at all. So yeah, shout out to everyone that has been ordering so far. Remember guys, we're doing a special offer for the first couple of weeks. Anyone that orders 2 or more items from the store is going to be getting a special Arrowverse gift in the post along with their merchandise when you get it. So that is going to be signed by me and I'm going to send a letter with it, so I'll send it myself. But for now, go to the link in the description, get some merch, and let's continue with this video. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Superman Lois and how it could potentially handle a cancellation or the series actually continuing on. So this isn't the same as one of my recent videos where I talked about, you know, what would potentially happen if Superman Lois went to HBO Max. That was kind of my main angle on that video. This video is actually going to be more about like how they could potentially have a season that potentially sets up a new season or potentially ends, and I have some ideas, so I think you guys are going to enjoy this. So let's go ahead and jump into my points. So it would be a huge shame, of course, if it got cancelled, but we have to remember right now so many Arrowverse shows have been cancelled, that being Legends, Naomi, Batwoman and Stargirl most recently. So things over at the CW since Nexstar took over are not looking good for any fictional content that was previously made by the previous regime, obviously that being Warner Brothers Television in regards to producing the Arrowverse shows, and Greg Berlanti's production company, Berlanti Productions of course. And so, like I said, it would be a huge shame to cancel such a great show as Superman Lois and such a new show. I know we're on season 3 and that's a fairly good number to be at. However, it would be a huge shame if it got cancelled because it could have done huge numbers. And I'm not lying when I say when Superman Lois was announced and when season 1 finished, I honestly thought we would be getting like season 9, season 10 numbers along with like what The Flash and Arrow did, because it was just so popular and it's still popular and it was actually doing very good in terms of numbers for CW. Yes, it wasn't hitting always a million, but pretty much both for the first and second season had like a fairly substantial amount of episodes that hit over 1 million live viewer ratings, and that's not even counting what was the streaming ratings afterwards. Like, I don't actually know those numbers, but I presume it was quite a lot because the CW recently has been playing into the streaming idea quite a bit. And so yeah, I really thought we would be getting like a show that would continue for like 9 or 10 seasons under the original CW regime, but since this new regime has taken over by Nexstar, the people in charge really have no idea what they're doing. I've told you guys this before, but I think they have no clue, and they're probably going to come crawling back to the Arrowverse shows at one point. I know that they have a plan to make money. They're probably going to make money by, you know, releasing cheap content, but it's going to degrade the kind of notability of the network and people are not going to come back. That being regular viewers, people are just going to flick it on and be like, oh yeah, there's some news, or oh yeah, there's a game show, or maybe the best thing that they have planned is like to show sports games, which I actually think people would be very interested in. Maybe they should have just done that, but also paired it with what we currently have on the CW. Anyway, so let's continue on with my point. So this season will definitely be shooting 2 endings, and this is what all the shows have been doing recently due to the high chances of cancellation, but also the potential for another season. Now, none of these shows are told like a year or 2 years in advance unless they agree with the network and the people in charge. So that being like Black Lightning, Supergirl, The Flash or Arrow, those shows got to actually choose when they were ending. They weren't cancelled by the CW or anything like that. they actually all came to an agreement that that season for their respective show would be the final season, and it would be that many episodes. And so if Nexstar and the CW like the show, well, Superman and Lois in this case, you could potentially be seeing the ending of the show be actually a teaser for the next season. However, you're going to see one of two things. You're going to see one of those endings, and when you see the ending, you're going to know what's happening. But I'm pretty sure if they're going to cancel Superman and Lois, they're going to announce it in like the last 3 or 4 episodes of the season, like they did for Stargirl, in order to kind of prepare people. But also, we said this about Stargirl, it's actually not a good move to actually announce the show's going to be cancelled before the show ends, because people naturally lose interest because they know that the show isn't going to continue beyond the final episode. And so we'll have to wait and see what type of direction Nexstar and the CW take Superman and Lois towards the end of this season, but we'll have to wait and see what type of ending it is. And if it is a cliffhanger ending, that's just going to be similar to the last previous seasons where we tease a new villain or something like that. But they're also going to be definitely shooting one where it's going to be like them wrapping up all the storylines, which is definitely going to be a priority if they are uncertain about their future, which I'm pretty sure there is. I don't believe there's any like behind the scenes discussions to 100% keep Superman and Lois on the CW. I think it's still on the bubble like all of these other shows, well, those shows that haven't been cancelled by the CW already. And so I think the potential for another season is very, very slim at this point, if I'm being completely honest. And obviously I want to be completely wrong about that. I want the show to go on for many, many seasons. I want it to go on for 8 or 9 seasons, potentially 10. That would be awesome. I think it would be smart if they kept the show. However, I think the main thing holding Nexstar and the CW back is the fact that the show costs a lot of money to make. And we've talked about this on the streams with Andy from the Flash podcast. We talked about how expensive it is to make Superman and Lois, and that's in terms of the filming costs, the rights, and you know, their set production building and everything like that. It's very expensive. Like, the dollar signs are going to stick out to Nexstar, and we all know their plans as of right now. They want to make money and they want to produce cheap content. They don't want to be producing expensive content, and Superman and Lois falls into that expensive content section of TV production. And that's because they have a character that obviously they don't have the exact rights to, because Warner Brothers only shares like a small stake in the company right now. And I don't know their contract details about like if they're gonna continue letting Nexstar use Superman and their IP, because I don't think that Warner Brothers would necessarily be benefiting that much unless they actually start making Nexstar pay licensing fees to actually have the characters. Then Warner Brothers is going to be making money, and they will be interested in continuing that because they're not having to produce the shows anymore. Obviously, Superman and Lois right now is run by WBTV and Berlanti Productions, but if potentially there was a takeover in terms of like Nexstar fully controlling the shows, potentially they're going to be buying the rights to these characters. But like I said, that's just really expensive, so I really doubt they're going to be willing to spend millions of dollars on just getting the IP, and the show potentially not performing as well as they want. And they want to make money, so I don't think by spending this much money it's going to be beneficial to them. And so there is one more thing that goes against Superman and Lois right now, and it's the fact that their Vancouver set is set to expire shortly. They have a contract, and I believe the contract for like 2 and a bit years in terms of their special set, because if you guys didn't know, they have a part of Vancouver that they rent out, and it's like a substantial bit. It's not just like a small set with a bunch of green screens. That's not what it is. In fact, they have this huge set up in Vancouver, and so they are actually paying rent, and that is expensive. And considering that it's set to expire very soon, maybe they can extend it for short term in terms of finishing season 3 of Superman and Lois, because obviously it's going to do them no good to not finish the show. And I'm pretty sure there are contracts about at least ending a season. but I'm not sure if Nexstar is going to be wanting to rent out this whole huge set up in Vancouver and keeping the production costs at a very high level. There is always the chance that they ask them to lower their budget and they make it cheaper. That could always work. However, I don't know how willing Todd Helbing and everyone behind the show is going to be in order to kind of take a big step down, because Superman Lois obviously recently has been very well known for how high quality it is. It's extremely cinematic. You know, what they do is absolutely amazing, and it takes a lot more time than some of the other CW shows, and that's because they put a lot of effort into it, and that's obviously down to, you know, they have more money and they're able to do a lot more than some of the other Arrowverse shows. And finally, obviously we have to address the question of, if Superman Lois does continue, or if it does get cancelled, who is going to pick it up if it's not the CW, if they are pretty much done with it. But I really do think that networks would be smart to pick up something like Superman Lois, and I think a streaming service like Netflix would be very smart to try and at least buy the rights to Superman for the show, you know, just for the meantime. Doesn't mean that they own the IP. They're not going to be selling Superman to Netflix. That's not going to happen. Warner Brothers would never do that. But I think picking up a show like Superman Lois and just, you know, leasing it out to streaming networks like Netflix would be very smart, in terms of Warner Bros. Would be making money, and even though they would be producing the content, they'll be getting a lot back from a deal with a streaming service like Netflix, which obviously the Arrowverse has previously had a relation to, so I don't think it's that far-fetched. Plus, you have to remember Superman is huge, so I think there would be a lot of interest if Superman Lois got cancelled at the CW. I'm pretty sure it would be shopped around elsewhere, unless Warner Brothers TV and Berlanti Productions want to give up on it. So we'll have to wait and see what their kind of angle is. I'm not sure about the HBO Max of all of it. Yes, HBO Max does have some sort of stake in Superman Lois, because, you know, it was airing there for a while, and I believe it's still airing there. So as of right now, we don't know the future for HBO Max. I'm believing that it's going to be changing next year, like some sort of name change by Warner Brothers themselves, and a lot of content is probably going to be removed and they're going to be bringing in new types of content. But I don't know if Superman Lois fits in that picture. But that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Also get some merch, like I said at the start of the video. Link is in the description below to the merchandise. I would really appreciate it. Also remember, we have that special offer, 2 or more items, you're going to get something very special and signed in the post from me that's Arrowverse related. But for now, thank you guys for watching. Click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.